Well, greetings and salutations, test takers. This is Series 7 Guru coming to you from my off-grid studio, getting our kicks on historic Route 66 with a very difficult margin explication request from our Facebook group. I wouldn't beat yourself up over this. Test prep vendors go way, way overboard on margin. So let me explicate this for you, see if I can help you out on this. This comes from our Facebook community, baby brokers doing hat tricks. Baby brokers is a term of endearment for rookies of the securities industry. A hat trick is three successes in a row, SIE 766. Customers long 200 shares at MTN at 30 and 400 shares. Oh, by the way, this is QID 1559506. If you don't have a Kaplan Q Bank, I highly recommend it as a paid supplement. You can get over 3,600 practice questions, including this one, for $55.80 with my Guru 15 discount code at checkout. For that commercial, Kaplan allows me to give you a free look at Kaplan content like this. All right, back to the question. A customer is long 200 shares. By the way, I'll help you with any question from any vendor. If you have a request, send it to explication request at guruexamprep.com. Customers long 200 shares at 30, 400 shares at 20 in a margin account. The key to margin is knowing the classical margin equation and being able to do the initial setup, right? So the initial setup is to figure out what this account looks like. So we have 14,000 in long market value. The debit balance is $8,000. That's what I owe the brokerage firm. And so equity always represents what I would have if I closed the account and paid off the loan. Nobody's suggesting you do that. I would definitely be able to recognize on your Series 7 the classical margin equation. Long market value minus debit equals equity. I'll link to either a class replay or my lecture on margin. It's called Don't Overdose, right? But you should definitely know that classical margin equation. Now, we love lending customers money. It's our all-time favorite things to do. So we're always going to see if perhaps you don't have excess equity. Hold on, that's my brother calling. Let me pause here for a sec. Okay, I'm back. Sorry for that interruption. So that's our classical margin equation. That's how it sits right now. The customer sells 200 shares for 4,000. So now we're going to do what's called a mark to market. A mark to market. By the way, we should recognize that right now we are below 50%. There's no new rule. 50% of 14 is 7. I want to see if perhaps you have excess equity so I can lend you some more money. But here, as we compare it to Reg T, you're below 50%. Now, there's only one new rule when you're below 50%. Your account is now restricted. If you sell securities in a restricted account, you can only have half the proceeds. That is the restriction. Now, if you don't tell me any different, you would never know you're restricted because as a margin clerk, any money coming into your account can pay down your loan. And that's what I'm going to do. You send a check in, dividends hit the account, whatever, I'm paying down the loan. So now you sold 200 shares for 4,000. So here comes our mark to market. We went from 14 to 10 because we just sold 4,000. I'm going to pay down the loan $4,000. We now have $6,000 in equity. And I bet this is where this student missed this question. And again, give yourself some grace. I think it's not a bad miss here. But if I compare that to Reg T, I would have answered that there's 1,000 in excess equity and the 1,000 would be my answer, but it's incorrect because I don't want to penalize you for leaving the money in the account. And so if I didn't credit your SMA, it's the one time as a margin clerk, I'm going to make a direct entry into your SMA. I'm going to say, listen, you could have had half of the 2,000, because your account's restricted. And now you do what I want you to do, which will leave the money in the account. And now you can only get one. No, 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 no. Tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to make a direct entry. The only time it's not a functional mark to market into your SMA, your credit line, that you could have had $2,000 and you can circle back and get it later. And that is the answer to this question. In a restricted account, if you don't take the proceeds, we're going to credit your SMA for the half you could have got and chose not to. Do I think you're going to get questions on restricted margin accounts? I do not. I think you get two or three margin questions and they're very linear. The most important thing in this question is know how to do the classical margin equation, to do the setup, and then be able to do a mark to market. And if you tell me you missed your 7 because of margin, I'm going to say, I don't think so. All right. So remember, inch by inch, margin is a cinch. Yard by yard, margin is hard, and I'll link in the video description and a pinned comment to either margin lecture or margin class replay.